Why is California such a unique place for wholesale real estate? Well, I'll tell you why. It's such a unique place for wholesale real estate because of foreign investors. Foreign investors have really jacked up the prices of houses, jacked up the prices, the prices where a wholesale investor can really get in and make it work for a long, long time. What happened is Chinese investment came into California early to mid-90s, and ever since then has been very vigorous, and you'll see many of these houses are scooped up by Chinese investors. But in no means is California an impossible place to either do wholesale real estate or distressed rentals. Now, behind me is Cedar Creek Park. This is a community that I started a church in. First it was called Corona Valley Church and Eastvale Church back in the early 2000s. Remember 2001, we did a community-wide event here. Now this community has changed significantly over the last 25 years. It's grown older, and as I stated in an earlier video, there's a lot of houses here that are distressed, potentially distressed rentals. You see that over and over and over again. Probate type of situations. There's plenty of opportunity here in even a newer community like Eastvale or Chino Preserves, but you're going to have to look for it a little bit differently. Now, there is going to be a lot of competition with foreign investors. How do you beat them to the punch? You just have to work it. There's nothing easy about doing this, so I'm not going to tell you it is. But what I'm going to tell you is a person who's willing to work hard, to call, to follow up, to create trust and rapport with the buyer who may not, or the seller who may not even want to talk to you, but you just hang in there until they are. That's happened to me several times. Then at some point, you'll be able to unlock the door and move forward in a relationship. Once you have a relationship and trust, then people will look at you. Now, the other thing that I do, as you can see there, is I've got my car in the background and I branded myself. I branded myself with my hat and a shirt that is congruent with the hat, and of course the signs, and then my business cards. And I take those out. I'm always ready to give a business card to somebody who wants to ask, to tell them what I'm doing, to tell them that they can find me on YouTube with shorts, with long, with training. If you do what I train you to do in these videos, you can be successful. You first plot the area. You find out where these houses are. You look for boarded up, vacant, just plain ugly. Now, you're not going to find any of those here, so what are you going to do? You're going to look for distressed rentals. They're all over the place. You can go to your software. In my case, I have lead trace software. I just put in the zip codes, and I put in some criteria that will find me board investors, distressed rentals, out-of-state owners, and they pop up all over the place. And then you drive the area. You get a sense of what you're dealing with. Once you've driven an area 2, 3, 4 times, you really don't need to drive it over and over again. You can find the properties through the software and get to work, but you got to learn that skill first. You got to get out, you got to know the area, you got to feel comfortable, because you got to be able to do comps and feel comfortable about what the comps would be in an area. And in this area, I feel completely comfortable. I am less than a half a mile away from the house that Diane and I bought in the early 2000s when our kids were 6, 4, and 2. And our youngest one, who was 2, just got married last weekend. So it does bring some nostalgia back to the whole thing. But I know what the houses comp out for in this area. I don't need to do a lot of study to find out what the comps are like in an area like this. So one of the advantages of doing real estate in California is that your comps are more consistent. And because of the areas, typically in newer areas, well, you can pretty much trust those. In some of these other areas, you're going to be looking in older areas, and some of the things are still going to apply. You're looking for boarded up, vacant, maybe just plain ugly houses, distressed rentals, and then get to work that way. But there's a lot of opportunity. I encourage you to get out in California. You're going to have to outwork the investors. You're going to have to outwork the people with money. But as Todd Dodson says, I don't know why people are so afraid of California. And he's got a big point. So get out there, make it happen, and thrive in California.